But I do know we have a special guest from EcoRI around the corner, and that's Tim Faulkner, who I appreciate coming into the studio.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Oh, good.
Thanks for coming in. Put your
My
right foot
pleasure.
on that red tape.
All right.
The third representative from EcoRI we've had.
That's good,
We have
yes.
Frank Carini, we had Joanna Detz, and now it's great to have you in because it seems like you're always out there doing it.
Yes, yeah, I try and be out in the field, I guess, more writing stories.
Literally in the field.
Right.
You can catch them on ecori.org. Couple of, as always, great stories this week, and you seem to always kind of be at the intersection, maybe environment and politics and policy.
Yep.
Barberville, what's going on with Barberville? And the anticipated time frame, it was 2019, now they're saying 2020, but it's just protracted. What do you anticipate happening?
Well, I think the talk is they're at a bit of a crossroads, and that there's about, I guess, 3 big things that are kind of going on right now. And as you talk about the delay, time is becoming a big issue with the power plant because obviously the longer it takes for this approval to happen or get a decision at least, the more money they have to spend, and as time goes on, there's going to be more electricity coming onto the power grid from renewable energy and other sources that might make this power plant unnecessary. So Invenergy, who's the developer of this power plant, the Clear River Energy Center, they really want to see this get approved, before these new power sources come online. So there's really 2 big things that are happening that may decide whether or not in the next few months if this power plant is going to go forward. So there's a court case because I'm sorry to talk for so long.
Oh no, no, you've got the skinny.
Right, but it's really, they're at a really significant crossroads here. There's a court case in Superior Court where Conservation Law Foundation and the town of Burrville are trying to get the water agreement dismissed between Invenergy and Woonsocket, and that's a controversial agreement in itself because the court case is trying to decide whether or not it's legal for Woonsocket to sell water from the Situate Reservoir to the power plant. So they're kind of being a third-party, wholesaler. And if the court sides with sides with CLF and the town of Burrville, it could really extend out the whole application process. I'm sure
because they've been looking for the water. I mean, going to Johnston. I mean, how many wells are there to go to?
Right. Yeah. If I said Woonsocket, I meant Johnston. They got the water from Johnston. But regardless of probably who wins that case, they're going to appeal it. So that could extend it as well. And then there's also the application is before the the Energy Facility Siting Board, and they may or may not say, well, wait a minute, maybe we should wait until this water deal is figured out before we start having the hearings, since they're supposed to start in October.
So that's the chicken and the egg.
Right.
They might say, make sure that that's straightened out either way, because if it goes in the negative, then it's a moot point.
Right. They could have all these hearings, and then all of a sudden, Invenergy may have to find a new water source, and then they're going to have to start that process all over again. So the next few months may decide whether or not that power plant is
a couple of key things to keep an eye on, and of course the opponents continue to. I mean, hyper vigilant on what's taking place here. We've had folks in here. We're going to continue to follow the Barberville power plant issue. It's just been such a mainstay in the news with folks following it. So I appreciate your breaking down what's going to be happening in the next few months with the Barberville power plant. A little locally here, a little closer to Providence, National Grid and the LNG facility on Allens Ave.
Right.
EcoRI had a very interesting read about a public forum that occurred and where the public forum occurred.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of pushback that meeting was held at the police and fire complex, right, in the main police and fire station in Providence, and so a lot of residents were concerned that may have prevented a lot of people from coming and speaking out. So
could there have been another place? I mean, there's plenty of big places.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they tried them, and for whatever various reasons, maybe they didn't have, I don't know, for whatever reason, because either wasn't available. I guess I didn't quite understand the logic completely, but it sort of made sense at the time. But I don't think anybody was very happy with the fact that they put it actually really far away from where the people live and where this project's going.
I mean, it's public safety's in the smack of the city, and the proposal is way further south, down Allens Ave. Were you at the meeting?
I was, yeah. And it was interesting. We're starting to see this a lot now. There was another meeting I went to about these Navy war games that they're going to be doing. They're starting to do these kind of workshops where they kind of have everybody come in and you walk around, and they don't really want to have groups getting together and getting really loud and this sort of whole mob mentality taking place. But so they did that, and you can walk around and talk to experts, and then they had the actual public forum, and overwhelmingly, I think there's about 80 people there probably who were against the power plant, and I don't think anyone spoke in favor of it. I mean, not the power plant, the LNG facility, and so yeah, it's definitely some legitimate reasons. I mean, that's a really tough neighborhood even without this project going forward. There's a lot of pollution there.
And is it going to be moving forward as planned? I mean, you were getting the community input. Is there any chance that it might not move forward as anticipated?
I don't know what the hurdles will be at this point. I mean, there's still, I think it's still the public comment period's going on, and FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, is the one who obviously decides the fate of this application, and they have a history of really being favorable to fossil fuel companies like National Grid. However, it was FERC that denied the application when they wanted to build, about 10 years ago, a giant LNG terminal in the exact same spot. And that was going to be those big super shipping tankers that were going to go into the harbor, and FERC is the one that denied it. So, it happened before, so it may happen again. Again,
a hot button issue here in Providence. Again, the proposed LNG facility on Allens Ave. I wanted to ask you about the NGA, the National Governors Association meeting that was here, and folks gathering together to sort of push governors on climate change. Was this a good opportunity for folks to come out and say, you need to do more?
Yeah, I think so. Excuse me. It was, I think there were kind of two things going on there. There was sort of inside where the governors were. There was, they had a forum that addressed climate change. They called it resiliency in the time of natural disasters, meaning that there's a lot of flooding and other sort of climate-related, weather patterns that are causing a lot of, damage and expenses for the governors. And so a lot of the governors from states, southern states, where they may not even say the words climate change, they were very interested in trying to get some help. They want to know how to address this because they're already spending a lot of money. There's flooding going on. There's lots of tornadoes and things like that. And so they're definitely waking up and paying attention to it. And then outside of the convention center, there was a lot of the local protesters. They had some from Massachusetts as well as Rhode Island who really want to see more aggressive action taken, particularly on cutting climate emissions, because there's not a lot that's, everyone's saying there's maybe a couple decades at the most where we have to do some really, considerable and drastic climate emission reductions. And if we don't take more aggressive action right now, it may be too late.
So it's always great to have EcoRI in here. If you don't go to the website, check them out, the leading environmental journalism here in Rhode Island. But they depend on the support of grant funding and support from readers like yourself. And Tuesday, there's a fundraiser.
Oh, yes, there is.
At Flatbread Pizza.
Yes, I almost forgot. Definitely, I know that.
Wanted to make sure you got a plug.
Yes, thank you very much. That's great. That's an awesome event. It's always a good time. You can just stop in and say hi, order, take out, or sit down. We'd love to, talk
and can people pick your brain on environmental issues?
Absolutely, yes. There are quite a few
people who show up. As you're noshing on your pepperoni pizza, talking about all things.
There's a few beers flowing too, and it's always a very good time. I like that event a lot. That's really good. It's very casual.
So check it out on EcoRI. We'll have the information on Go Local as well. We always appreciate them being able to come in here and get their perspective on environmental issues. Anything else you want to bring to readers? That was just a few of the hot button issues from the site this week that I wanted to touch upon, but you're a new face. You're not Frank. You're not Joanna.
I know.
I rarely get to see you. So while you're in here, anything that you might want to share with viewers, either that's happened recently or maybe to keep an eye on looking forward?
Yeah, I think there was, there's a couple things we'll be talking about. There's the, Coastal Resources Management Council that'll be meeting next week. They've got 3 new members. And it's interesting about the faces, the people that went off and the people that are coming on. I'm going to write about that a little bit.
Okay.
I think Frank's going to look at maybe some more water quality issues, and I can't remember what else. There's always lots happening. And certainly the power plant, there'll be stuff happening with that too.
Never a dull moment. Always a lot to read on EcoRI, and we appreciate them being able to come in here and break down the stories, all the factors involved. So, Tim Faulkner, thank you so much for coming in today. I'll let you go around the corner, back out into the heat. Hot town, somewhere in the city. Tim Faulkner with Eco.